So we're just going to give it a minute to give people a chance to pop in. There's the man, the myth, the legend, Falco himself, and of course, David Cochran.
He's showing his good side right now.
So we'll give it another minute. Just read through some of these comments really quick. Kim says hello. Colton, hello. K9unit.com, hello. K9 Mattis, Mark Tappan, what's up? Tracy, hello. Otto, hello. Mike Garber, hello. All right. So for everyone who tuned in to episode 1 of America's Top Dog, which hopefully all of you did, then you should recognize this team right here. I am joined with Officer David Cochran, and of course, the one and only, the legend himself, K9 Falco. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing awesome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You guys have been together, so take us back from the beginning. To my knowledge, if I remember correctly, you and Falco have been together pretty much his entire life, correct?
Just about. I knew him probably about 6 months old or so, somewhere right in there.
And he's 7 now?
No, he's 8. He'll be 9 this August.
Oh, wow. So what's that?
Which is crazy to believe.
Yeah, I mean, so an 8-year-old won episode 1 of America's Top Dog, competing against 2, 3, 4-year-old, highly trained, highly qualified police dogs. So I guess there's maybe something to be said in experience versus youth.
Sure.
So you guys have been partners on the force for how long?
Well, it'll be 8 years in August. So I got him almost a year to his exact birthday. I think we're just a day short of his birthday, 1-year birthday.
Oh wow! So you guys have literally been together the whole time on the force, even pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it definitely showed. And if I remember correct, K9 Falco, previous to winning episode 1 of America's Top Dog, his nickname was what?
His Wonder Mutt.
Why did you call him that before?
You know, I didn't give him that name. Just someone, a good friend of mine, just started calling him Wonder Mutt, and it just kind of stuck. So that's what he's referred to.
He definitely lived up to it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of him for sure.
So I'm gonna take us through the beginning of America's Top Dog, episode 1. So you guys were the first team to go, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So what's that?
So my understanding was they kind of put it up to a drawing to see who was going to go first, and I was fortunate enough to go first.
You got the short straw.
Right.
So one thing that I noticed as a host, and I pointed out when we were actually filming episode 1, is I said, you know, tonight's competition was a toss-up for me. Normally, hopefully you guys will see, I make predictions at the beginning of every episode who I think is going to win. And I actually said, like, tonight's competition is a toss-up. I said, we have K9 Falco. They've been together 7 years. They have a ton of experience, hundreds of, busts together. I knew Falco had an amazing nose. He's won awards before for, like, narcotic detection, correct?
Correct, yes.
So I saw all of that, and believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize this. You guys are actually going to be the first time to ever hear this that I've said publicly. But when I'm filming America's Top Dog, every episode, I get the list of who's going to appear. And what I do as the host is I stalk you guys. So, so if you guys have seen the new Netflix show, that's kind of what I'm doing for our competitors. I'm searching your social medias. I'm Googling Officer Cochran, K9 Falco. I'm reading stories. I'm going to the Fargo, North Dakota Police Department Facebook, Instagram, seeing posts from years ago that they made. So that way I just know as much as humanly possible about you. So now when you guys go to run, I'm pulling out facts and stats about you guys that production and A&E didn't even know. So I do a lot of research, and I did my research on you guys. Like, I remember reading in 2016, I believe Canine Falco tracked down a suspect, and you guys found him hiding in a garbage can, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
How long was that track? Do you know?
What's that?
Do you remember how long that track was?
You know, it really wasn't that long. It was all said and told, you know, maybe a quarter mile or so.
So he was on it.
Yeah, it started on the interstate, and it, you know, went over a frontage road and into a neighborhood.
So like I read that story, and so when I do my research, you guys were one of the teams that really stood out to me because I knew he had an amazing nose. I knew he won certifications. I knew you guys have been together for a long time. I know he's good at tracking. So to me, you guys were kind of one of the ones that I was really keeping my eye on. And then, of course, Maker was another one that I'm like, man, this dog is legit. So it was really tough, and all the competitors really were, so it was really tough for me to call. So you guys went first, and the car slalom and the canine combine, round one, the car slalom, that's where Canine Falco has to jump in and out of the patrol cars. Really no issue whatsoever on that for you guys, right?
No.
Yeah, it was kind of a textbook. It almost looked like you guys were demoing that to show everyone else what you're supposed to do. So no issue on that. Then you guys moved to the fire escape, where if you guys watch episode 1 and you continue to watch the episodes, you'll see, believe it or not, a decent amount of dogs have issues on the fire escape. For those that don't kind of fully understand from watching it, the dogs have to grab the ball and pull down. And when they pull down, it pretty much releases a lever that drops the staircase down, and then they have to repeat that 3 times. So where some of the dogs have issues is they're pulling the ball back and forth like a prey, a tug, and not pulling it down. So sometimes that's the issue. Another issue that we've seen is what I've noticed is sometimes the dog's primary motivator, primary reward is a tug, and that's in the handler's pocket. So they're staring at the tug and not paying attention to the ball. But you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I really don't think you had really any issue on the fire escape either, did you?
No, not outright. You know, in my mind, yeah. You know, there's a couple times where he didn't want to. Once he got a hold of the ball, he didn't want to let go right away. So I had to give a couple extra commands and for him.
Kind of expected from a Malinois. So.
Right. No, I got this ball. Now it's mine. I want to.
Exactly. So pretty much you guys went through all 3 levels of the fire escape. Again, no real issue. So now you've made it through the car slalom pretty much flawlessly, textbook. You've pretty much made it through the fire escape flawlessly, textbook. But now if we want to talk about flawless and textbook, when you guys got to that high jump where it's the 3, 4, and 5 foot walls, that was one of the most amazing runs I still think to this day that I've seen on the high jump. So I want to hear from you. For those that don't remember, Falco pretty much started by the 3 foot wall, and he went 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot, boom, like all without any hesitation, without skipping a beat. And really the impressive thing for me also was you pretty much kept up with him. You were running right beside of him and giving out verbal commands and hand signals, sending him over. So tell me why that specifically went pretty much flawlessly and why he crushed those 3 walls in a row where other dogs do not. What like, do you guys do a lot of wall jumps together?
Yeah, so when I saw that on the set, I was pretty confident about that. And, you know, I give a lot of credit to our control certification through the USPCA, right? So there is an agility portion of that certification, which includes hurdles. And he loves jumping over the hurdles. He loves the A-frames and things like that. So seeing that, I was pretty confident going in that he was going to do well there. So I really do attribute that to our training.
Did you know that he would do them consecutively like that? Was that the plan going in?
Yeah, that was the plan going in. You know, that's how we run them at trials. There's usually more hurdles at trials. He's looking for his ball. You typically stop at the second hurdle and it continues on. So, I mean, I knew he'd keep going with or without me.
So at that point, you were really just trying to keep up with them almost.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because the strategy that we see a lot of the handlers do on the show is they'll send the dog over the 3 foot, then they'll kind of pause, reset the dog, send him over the 4-foot, pause, reset the dog, send him over the 5-foot. But literally, Falco was over all 3 of those walls really before myself or Kurt Menifee, my amazing co-host, got a chance to say anything. And I think it even shows us in the picture-in-picture, like, whoa, like that was highly impressive. And it appears based off how easily he's done that, he did those on the show, that he's done probably higher than 5-foot walls in the past. Is that safe to assume?
Yeah, you know, like the A-frame at our trials, that's 6 foot. On the street, he's gone over some fences, you know, 6, 7, 8 foot, pretty easily.
Oh, wow. So he's done 7, 8-foot walls even.
Yeah.
So that's why he pretty much made our 3, 4, 5-foot look like it was for kindergartners, right?
Yeah.
He's like, give me a challenge. So you guys blew through all of that, and then you got to the rope bridge. Any real issues there for you?
No, I don't think so. Seeing it initially, I'm like, there's no way he's going to do this. But, you know, looking back on it, you know, he knows how to climb a ladder vertically. That was just a vertical or horizontal ladder. So he just shot across that with all.
Yeah, and I think watching back and remembering, he pretty much went across pretty smooth without really any issue at all.
Right.
And again, as some of you guys will see, some dogs have a hang up on the rope bridge, because those that really, you can kind of see it on TV, but those that aren't actually there or they're not running their dogs across it, it's a literal rope bridge. So as soon as the dog steps on it and puts pressure, it starts shaking and swaying. So the dogs have to have really good proprioception. They have to be really good on unstable surfaces, textures, elevations, all those things. And we saw some dogs, and you guys will see some dogs have a little bit of an issue on that if they're not used to unstable surfaces. But again, he crushed it. So up until this point, we've made it through car slalom. We've made it through fire escape. We've made it through rope bridge. I would say a textbook flawless run. And then we get... Then we get to splashdown.
Right.
Now, at the very top of your run, before you guys even started, I remember talking to Kurt. Kurt said, how do you see this team doing? I said, I think they're going to do amazing. The only thing that I call into question, and it was just a pure guess, I had no knowledge of this, I said, they're a team out of Fargo, North Dakota. You know, they're not on a coastal area. They're not around huge lakes. I know you guys have like the North River down through there. I'm like, but I don't know how much water training they're doing in Fargo, North Dakota, just because I don't think it's that practical to their everyday life. So we'll see. So now we've made it to splashdown. That's where you guys only hang up in round 1 happens. Talk me through that.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about for the exact same reason, because we haven't done a whole lot of water training. That's on the agenda for the 2020. But yeah, I have a friend that has a lake place where Minnesota Lake Country is about 45 minutes away. So towards the end, I probably should have got out there sooner, but I put him in the water and have him jumping off the dock, and he would do it, but he didn't really want to either. And as you guys on there, it took me going there to show him that, hey, this is okay. We can get through this.
And that's one of the things that I love to see. For again, to recap for those that don't remember, so Officer Cochran tried to cast Canine Falco in. You threw his ball in, right?
Right, yep.
So he throws his ball in to say, hey, go get it. And what Canine Falco did is instead of jumping in, he tried to be your average Malinois and cheat the system. And he tried to run around the side of the pool to get to the ball that way. You saw what was happening very quick. You recalled him back. And what I loved, because again, maybe a lot of people, you're used to the cold, North Dakota, but what we see a lot of the handlers do is they try for a little while to encourage the dog to go in before they make that fateful decision to jump in themselves. Where what you did, as soon as you saw Falco was trying to cheat the system and go around, you recalled him back, and as soon as he got back to you, you immediately jumped in. And almost what was more impressive than that is, I don't even know if your waist was in the water yet before Falco was right in behind you. And I think that's a lot attributed to you guys as you've been together 7 years. You've been partners this whole time, till he really trusts you. He says, I don't know about going to this water, but the moment you went in, he said, I'm right there with you, partner. And he jumped in too. Were you pretty confident that if you jumped in, he would follow suit?
Yeah, I wasn't too worried about that. I didn't want to get wet, but that's a pure evil that night.
So essentially that ball throw in when you guys got there was your one and only test run to try to avoid you yourself getting wet.
Right, yeah.
And once you saw that didn't work instantly, you're like, I'm going in, and it pretty much worked out perfect. So pretty much you guys had a textbook flawless round one, a small hiccup, as we said in the splashdown, which really wasn't much, maybe 5-10 seconds. He ran around, recalled, you guys were in. So almost as good of a run you can get. As a matter of fact, you guys, out of the 5 teams, you guys got second place for the second best time in round one, losing in round one only to John and Canine Maker, who that dog was over the walls and halfway across splashdown before I could even say a word.
Yeah, he was flying, right? He was flying.
Yeah, he flew over the walls, and then he jumped from the splashdown like 10 feet into the water. He looked like Jordan, from the free throw line, dunking it. So really, he had a textbook flawless run, and you guys were just 15 seconds behind that. So pretty much as flawless as it could be. Now we enter my favorite part, and I'm sure your favorite part too, the boneyard. So before we go into the boneyard, what was your confidence level in going into the boneyard with him?
I wasn't. But I was certainly confident. He's done really well at our NARC trials, and so I wasn't too concerned about it. I was more worried about overthinking it on my part, and maybe get turned around in the maze a little bit. He works pretty well independently, and that was kind of my plan, is kind of let him do his thing. And if I needed to step in at any point, kind of help detailing, that would be there for him.
One of the things that I noticed instantly, for those that don't know, they kind of stand on a starting platform. So Officer Cochran, Canine Falco, they're standing there, and they're essentially waiting for our production staff to say, and go. And as soon as they say go, they take off, time starts. Again, to recap for some of those that may have missed it during the show, our boneyard, that's, in my opinion, the most challenging part of the entire course. It's a 3,000 square foot maze, and they have 5 minutes to find 5 scented items in 7 rooms. So 7 rooms, 3,000 square feet, maze, open air, so you have airflow going in. We're in the Los Angeles kind of desert canyon, so air's blowing, there's no roof. So it's very challenging. 5 minutes, 5 scented items, 7 rooms. So the thing I noticed immediately is when they said go, you didn't rush. A lot of the teams, when they say go, they're like Usain Bolt into that boneyard. They're flying in there with the dogs, and you kind of casually strolled in, and then you took a left, and it was the wrong way, if you remember. You ran into the maze. You ran into a wall. Then you had to turn around and come back out. When you first turned that left and hit that wall, did it build any anxiety at all, or were you still feeling pretty cool?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anytime you reach an obstacle like that, it kind of gets in your mind a little bit, right? But we turned around and we got the next hallway just fine.
So then you guys come out of there, and the first thing I notice is you go into the bedroom, I believe. And what you do, what I love, because again, a lot of the handlers are doing very detailed searches, and they're pulling on the dog's leash, and they're rushing them around the room saying, check, 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 check. Well, what you did is you walked in like you're walking into a 7-Eleven on your day off, and you go, hey, search. Falco runs in, and I believe he goes right up to the letter A, and he throws a textbook perfect passive response in the form of a sit, correct?
Right, yep.
Of course, you immediately read that. Not saying you're not good at reading Falco anyway, but he did so perfect. Even if you didn't know what you were looking for, you'd be like, hey, I think there's something there.
Right.
He sniffed it, dropped into a sit, just like training. You ran up, grabbed it, and that was just 20 seconds in. You guys found your first scented item. And when that happened, when I saw how cool you were, and then I saw his textbook sit, I literally remember looking over to Kurt and like this team, like, I'm impressed so far. So when you set on that first item in just 20 seconds and it was textbook, did that help build up your confidence some?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I knew that we were in the right zone, right? He was doing his thing and I was reading him right, and it was just get on to the next room.
And one of the things that I really love is what we see, and every handler, every trainer has seen this. Your dogs, you're in training, in a training environment where you got the boxes set up, or you're in a training room. You go search, the dog sniffs, he sits, you're like alert, whatever, and it all runs perfect. But then when people get in the boneyard, all of that goes out the window.
Right. Yeah,
but for you guys, what's that?
You had that time element into it, and the stress of wanting to do well, and yeah, your mind starts playing with you, for sure.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that you make there. That a lot of people watching at home on TV really don't appreciate. They're like, oh, he's rushing the dog, or he should have read that. But it's easy to sit at home on your couch, sipping your rum and Coke, and saying what I would have done, but they don't have that 5 minutes. They don't have the competition. They don't have the knowledge to know that whatever I do right here is going on national television on the largest network in the world. So all of those things are racing through your head, and a lot of people at home really don't grasp that aspect of it. So 20 seconds in, item 1, textbook sit. Now you guys move into the luggage room. And here's one of the things that I loved about the luggage room. If you guys play it back, the link is actually in my bio. You can watch all of episode 1. Falco goes through and sniffs, and he hits the fanny pack. And it's not an aggressive response, but he definitely gives a lot of extra attention to the fanny pack with his nose. And what I love is if you play it back, if you reach in and grab it, and right as that's happening, Falco is dropping into a sit in the background. So what I really loved is you, again, going back to you being partners with him for so long, you knew that there's something there without him completing the final response. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's just time and repetition and training and on the streets, is looking for those small cues that your dog does to let you know that, they're in that scent cone. So I think we do a pretty good job of reading, and that's what we did there then.
Yeah, you definitely did. 'Cause like I said, if you guys watch that, and again with the fanny pack, Officer Cochran is reaching in and grabbing it before Canine Falco completes the final response in the form of a sit. And what's beautiful is he still commits to the sit, even though you've grabbed the item at that point, which again, it shows a lot back to his training and repetition that how solid he is. And now that was at the 50-second mark, roughly. So I remember calling out, I said, they're already 2 items in less than 1 minute. So at this point, I'm like really, really watching. And then I believe you guys go into the living room. And I won't say you had trouble whatsoever, so don't misunderstand me on that. But the other 2, the first 2 rooms, Canine Falco runs in, boom, he's right on it. Now when you guys go into the living room, you let him do his initial off-leash scan, just like you did in the first 2 rooms. He hits that initial independent search, and he doesn't give you any indication. And again, what I love is your reading of him. Just like going back to the splashdown, as soon as you let him do that initial scan, that independent scan on his own, he makes it a 360 around the room, and as soon as he came up empty-handed, you immediately come out of that doorway and you take him into a detailed search in the middle, which is like the vase and the coffee table. So tell me what was going through your head there as you let him do his independent search and he came up with nothing.
Yeah, so I mean, usually I'm the anchor, right? Usually the handler's are, we're the anchors to the dog. So, like I talked about earlier, I usually let him kind of do his own thing. But sometimes the dogs miss things or they don't get the scent one, and that's when we become a canine team, and the other comes in and helps with the detail search. So we didn't make that initial find right away. I did what you're not supposed to do. Like, where would I hide the dog? You know? And,
Trainer 101.
Right. So, so I went to that area right away, and then he once I got him in that scent cone, he located it.
Yeah, and again, once you got him there, textbook, sniffed, boom, drops into a sit. It couldn't have looked better if it was just a training environment, let alone national TV and a competition. And that gave you your third item in a minute and a half. So now you're essentially on par for one item every 30 seconds at this point. And again, I remember saying to Kurt, I'm like, they only have 2 items left and they still have 3.5 minutes. What we see with most teams in the boneyard and most handlers is 5 minutes isn't enough time. Where you're on a pace where I'm like, these guys are gonna like have a beer before time runs out. So you put him on that detailed search, instantly pays off for you. Good read on him, and then you go into the office, and again he does that independent search, and he comes up at the pencil sharpener, and again just like at the fanny pack, he goes up to the pencil sharpener, gives it an aggressive sniff, extra attention. And just like at the fanny pack, you were reaching in to grab that pencil sharpener before he committed to the final response. And again, is that just, exactly what his behavior change looks like when he comes into odor, and you didn't need to wait for the final response?
Right. So it's a competition, right? So, typically in training, I'm just going to let him do his thing and give me, show me his alert, and then we'll reward him. But I knew the time element was there. In my mind, we were super slow at that point, and I thought, time's going to go stuff. So
in your mind, you're like 4.5 minutes in.
Exactly, right? So, once I saw that change in behavior and he was going to alert, just grab it and get it on the podium and pull that lever.
Now, just to clarify for everyone watching, if there wasn't that time element, if it wasn't for the competition, that time ticking in your head, would you traditionally wait for, even if you see the behavior change like you did, you would traditionally wait for the final response still?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for there, you're like, man, I'm so far behind right now. I'm not even waiting. I'm just grabbing, right? I know that's the behavior change I'm looking for. No need to wait those extra 3 seconds for the sit. But again, you grab, he still commits to the sit, textbook on read and textbook final response for him. And now at this point, you guys are 2 minutes in. So you've had 4 items in 2 minutes. And I remember, I think even during the show, if you guys watch it, myself or Kurt One says, they have 3 minutes left to find just one item, which is now an absurd amount of time. And now you guys go into our boxes. That's where we have 32 boxes on 3 shelves. Odor can be in any one of those 32. So it's kind of the most variables out of all of our rooms. And Falco goes down the line. I believe Falco's kind of at the top. You're at the bottom, and he's coming down towards you. And as he's coming down, you see a nice head pop. So he's coming. Whoa, what's that? And again, you read that instantly without any hesitation. You grabbed that box, set it, pulled the lever, and you finished the boneyard at a blistering pace of 2 minutes, 17 seconds, 5 scented items found. Were you feeling pretty good at that point?
Yeah, it was, and I probably needed the rest of that time just to find my way out of there. I had to ask the camera crew guys, like, but yeah, but still in my mind was we were down to the bitter end there, and we were running out of time. So
at that point you thought like, ooh, we came in just under the 5 minute mark.
Yeah. And
you didn't realize that you still had essentially 3 minutes left of that 5 minutes.
Yeah, no idea. Not until we got out.
So again, that's a lot of that competition, time, stress kind of going through your head. It seemed like 5 minutes to you, and it was 2 minutes. And Oh, one other thing I want to talk about really quick to back up some. At the end of the third item, which I believe was the fanny pack, or no, it was the living room, you did, and I call it out during the show, is you gave a variable reward. You rewarded him with the tug at the end of the third item. Can you kind of talk to people out there that really kind of don't know what they're looking for? Why did you reward him? You didn't do it on the first. You didn't do it on the second. Why did you reward him after he found that third item?
You know, we found the first item and then on to the second, and he was working well. And, you know, I debated about rewarding him because, again,
I'm sure,
you know, because that buys up some time. But he was working great, and I thought he did something just to reinforce that he was doing well. And so I gave him a tug and a couple of head snaps on it, and then we're off to the next room.
Now, when you're in a training environment, are you generally doing like a 1-to-1, like a fixed ratio reward, or do you generally do an interval reward even in training on fines?
You know, in training, we typically reward almost every time.
Yeah.
So, you know, on the screen, we typically don't, unless we, you know, absolutely certain that, I know that item,
yeah,
that product is there. So, but yeah, I think it's important to reward your dog, you know, when they're doing well.
Yeah, exactly. So were you, since you hit 1 and 2 and 3 so fast, did you have a little conflict in your head, like, do I reward him and maybe mess up his train of thought because now he's so focused on the tug, or did you feel completely fine about it?
No, I felt fine about it. He got to fill his mouth a little bit after working a little bit, and once we took that away, you know, knowing that he could get another reward, he was just working just as hard. So I wasn't worried about that at all.
So yeah, if you guys watch back, he rewards after the third item. For those that don't know, we call that a variable reward. Again, the dog you're changing up when the dog is being paid, essentially. So it keeps them, it actually builds motivation. One of the great examples of a variable reward is a slot machine at a casino. You don't win every time, but you win every now and then. So it keeps you motivated to keep playing. So that's essentially what Officer Cochran did with Falco, is he didn't get a reward at the first, didn't get it the second, didn't get it the third. Boom, gives him that $100 bill, and now Falco's highly interested to continue to play to try to win again. Now, at the end, because I didn't see this, once you guys left the boneyard, you did your 5 fines. Did you reward him again or no?
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that I did.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. So yeah, when you guys left at that 2-minute, 17-second mark, 5 items, I'm like, this is like, someone else is going to go to round 3, but they're not going to beat this run. So I was feeling extremely confident. So now you guys find out you're going to round 3, which is the doghouse. You're going to be facing one other competitor that does the best in the boneyard. For those who don't know how it works, round 1, the canine combine, we start with 5 dogs. The 4 best advance to round 2, and then the 2 best advance to round 3. So you know now you've secured your spot in the doghouse. You're going on to round 3. You find out what's going through your mind at that point.
I was a nervous wreck.
For you or for Falco?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, just to make it to that point was awesome. So I was looking forward to, finishing it, and obviously wanting to finish first. But yeah, the nerves were way up there.
Yeah. So when you got to look at the canine combine, you saw it before you guys went. You see what it requires. In your head, did you second guess or question any of the obstacles? Like, I don't know if he'll do the duck work, or talk to me about that. Yeah.
So the one I was concerned about was up on top after you climb up the boxes and you get to the top of the platform. There's 3 tunnels you have to go through.
Yep.
Doesn't really show it that great on camera, but there's actually spaces in there. So I was worried that he could get hung up and want to jump out of the tunnel and not continue on. But his momentum kept him going, and we flew through that just fine.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Just like anything, people really don't. When you're watching on TV, you miss things that we know are there in the live run. And what Officer Cochran was talking about in our duck work, the ducks that they have to run through, there's 3 of them. There's a gap that's pretty decent in between each one. And you may or may not see in America's Top Dogs, dogs do get to that and pop out, and then they have to reset and eat up a ton of time. But I agree, when you watch it on TV, it seems like they're really close together and the dog's just running through, but that's not the case. They kind of have to jump into the next tunnel almost. But so you questioned that a little, but everything else you felt confident on?
Yep, you know, that when you had to pull the doors open up the top there, I was a little bit concerned because, you know, like we talked about earlier, you know, that's my ball. I just got it. I don't want to let go of it. So I was worried to lose some time there, but you let go of those pretty well for the most part.
Now, so you guys pretty much, when you enter the doghouse, you have the knockdown wall. Really, he only wasted a couple seconds there. He hit it once, but he hit it too low. And for those that don't realize, our knockdown wall, which is where they start, essentially they just got to hit it high, and then the momentum and weight of the wall itself will take it down. But what Canine Falco did when Officer Cochran first cast him to it is he hit it, but he hit it low, so it wasn't enough to kind of move the tipping point of the wall. So then you cast him again, and he hit it. You really only probably ate up like a second or two there. It was low wall, high wall, done. So then you guys move up the ramp and you go through the window, the window jump. No issue at all, as he's proven. You don't have an issue jumping. You move through the spider web, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Falco was waiting on you on the spider web, right?
Yeah, again, I was the anchor for sure.
So he moved through pretty seamlessly, and you're fighting your way through. For those who don't realize, it's essentially a bunch of bungee cord that's pretty thick, and what it's designed is to simulate dogs moving through thick brush, trees, like on tracks, trails, and pretty much kind of having the confidence to push through obstacles in their way. So you guys made it through that, and then you moved up to low crawl. And I remember, I believe you were saying crawl. Is that your command for him?
Yep.
And a lot of people just kind of go through and the dog follows them, but I noticed you gave a defined command for it. Is that something that you took from like the USPCA training, or?
Yep, there's in the USPCA, there's a portion where they got to crawl on a small table. You know, you start on it down and you got to that's crawl for him.
Yeah, so again, really no issue. Move to boxes up. I think he had a little bit of a stumble. I think boxes up is the first time in the whole course that you were ahead of him, correct?
Yeah.
He had a little stumble at the bottom, but then no real issue. Moved up. So far, pretty much another flawless run. Duck work, no issue. Door breach, the first door, he grabbed it. I feel like he let go pretty quickly. Did he, or did he not?
The first one, I think he did okay, and then if I remember right, there was a little bit on the second door. But
And then, so you move through the two door breaches, you drop down, and now I feel like now that you know you've made it to the takedown, that's where our amazing decoy, as I always say, one of the unsung heroes of the show, Ruben, he pops out in the bite suit. Clearly, you know Falco's going to bite, right?
Right, yeah.
You know when a guy is given some prey movement in a suit, he's not going to turn away from it, I assume. Right. So you send him on Ruben, our amazing decoy on America's Top Dog. He gives him a nice tricep bite, a back tricep bite. How confident were you feeling going into this on Canine Falco's verbal out?
You know, I again was a nervous wreck. There's a lot of stimulation that he's getting up to that point.
Yeah.
So he's probably a little bit jazzed.
Yeah.
So I was worried that maybe he'd want to hang on just a little bit longer because I worked really hard to get to this point. But yeah, just gave him his verbal commands and he popped off, and I was very happy with his performance.
And really quick, I pinned Ruben down here, the REUBC. That's Ruben. He's our amazing decoy for America's Top Dog. Everyone go give him a follow. And so now he bites. Ruben gives a nice presentation. He bites the back tricep. And you say out and then heel, I believe, right?
Correct.
And nothing happens the first time. So when that happened, did your anxiety kick up some?
I don't know if the camera picked it up, but I threw up a little bit. Yeah, it absolutely kicked up, but I just gave him another one right away, just, to reinforce the first one that we gave, and then he came back.
Yeah, so he says out, he says heel. Canine Falco's like, I worked pretty hard for this, and stays on the tricep of Ruben. And then again, just like Officer Cochran did the whole time, he immediately, without any hesitation, picks up on that, without any delay, immediately gives him another heel command. Canine Falco pops off, beautiful, clean verbal out, comes flying back to your left leg. Your time stops at 1 minute, 20.35. So in your mind, was it kind of like detection, where you felt like it took you 30 minutes, or did you feel like it was a pretty smooth run?
No, to me, it felt like it took forever. Time was moving super slow.
So you felt like you were in that doghouse for like a whole episode.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So it was 1 minute, 20.35 seconds, which, again, I was impressed by the run. Because, again, as we said, everything was pretty much textbook, except if I was actually to set and total it up, the door, the knockdown, a little hang up on boxes up, and then a little hang up on the verbal out with Ruben, you probably lost 2 to 3 seconds total in all of round 3, in my opinion. So to me, it was a textbook perfect run. Now, to be honest, I don't even know this, but you finished your run, and now your competitor, who is also in the doghouse with you, did you get to watch his run or no?
Yeah, so when we finished, they had a little platform and chair for us to sit on, and for Falco too. And they told you, if he beats your time, like the set's going to go up this color. And if you win, it's going to be this color. So my job was to sit there and wait for the color change to find out who won.
Okay, so as you were watching his run, now you're watching it, and I know secretly in your head you're like, please mess this up. But as anyone would, as you're watching it, in your head, are you like, man, this guy is slow, this guy's moving way faster than I was? What's going through your head?
Oh, yeah, he was flying, right? He was doing great. And I'm like, yeah, he's got this, it's going to, I can't remember what color it was supposed to change to, but it's going to change to red. He's got this. He looked off.
So in your mind, you're like, I was slow, and he's just flying through this thing.
Right.
So now the collar changes to your collar. Did it take a second, or did you have any delay? Like, wait, does that mean I won, or what was the collar, or what's going through your mind?
Right. Yeah, there was a delay. Like, no, there's no way. Like he flew for that, right? There's just no way.
The guy must have pressed the wrong collar button.
Right. So when it changed, I mean, I was shocked and ecstatic, all at the same time. So,
and you'll probably remember this, but correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you guys won by like 3 seconds, right?
Yeah, just a hair over 3 seconds. That was it.
Like it literally could not have been closer.
No.
I mean, 3 seconds is, if Falco would have taken 2 more verbal outs, that could have been the difference between first and second place. So fortunately, he did not. So you had to be feeling pretty proud at this point, right?
Proud dad for sure.
Yeah. Did you get a good night's sleep, or was it actually hard to sleep coming from the high of the wind?
Oh yeah, you can't share any information with your friends and family back home, but everyone's calling you now, wanting to know how things went, and after that adrenaline rush, yeah, it took probably 3 or 4 hours for us to calm down.
Yeah, that I'm sure him as well. So were you allowed? I don't know this. Were you allowed to tell your department, like, hey, we won, guys?
Yeah. So we signed 1 million pages of non-disclosure, right?
Yeah.
But there was a select few. You know, obviously, you know, my boss wants to know how we did because, you know, he didn't have to, but he let us go out and compete.
Correct.
Right. So I for sure wanted to let him know how we did, and so
be like, we didn't let you down, Chief.
Yeah, didn't let you down. So, so I shared some of that with the brass, and then with my wife.
I mean, you guys had an incredible run, and I know the Fargo Police Department is super proud for sure. Because I mean, you had a lot of amazing handlers and like you guys weren't competing against, you know, dogs from PetSmart. You know, right. you were competing against a SWAT team dog, a maker who does dock diving, agility, scent detection, PSA, like some high level competition. So, you know, when you're facing high level competition like that and you come out on top, it's got to be the best feeling ever.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and even if we didn't take it, I mean, losing to those guys, no shame in that at all. It's outstanding.
Yeah, not at all. And that's what, you know, that's one of the things that I really love being the host of America's Top Dog is every episode, I would actually see the handlers / competitors talking amongst themselves, like, hey, what are you going to do? And almost kind of helping each other and giving each other tips like, hey, if your dog has trouble on this, try using the tuck. And to me, like, I love seeing that camaraderie, that thin blue line, that law enforcement is, hey, we're competitors, but we're still in this together. And I love seeing that. Do you still talk to any of the competitors from the show at all, or no?
Yeah, I talked to Josh here and there. He's the guy I had pegged right from the start. You know, that was going to take this thing. And between you and me, and I guess everyone that's watching, I think it needs a second chance.
Yeah, I mean, so you guys, pretty much round 1, round 2, round 3, completely flawless. Minus the splashdown. That was your only hang up. And what we see a lot in America's Top Dog, and this is why it's called America's Top Dog, is we see dogs who are studs in scent detection. They've won USPCA, first place narcotics 3 years in a row, top dog, you know, all these awards. So they do okay in round 1, crush scent detection, move on, but then they have issues with some of the agility or some of the, you know, unstable surfaces. And then we have the opposite, you know, dogs that crush it on the agility and the jumps and all that. And then they get into our boneyard and it all goes downhill. But you guys pretty much won Top Dog for a reason. You were pretty solid, pretty consistent, and pretty confident in round 1, round 2, and round 3. And despite you doing amazing in round 2 and having an incredible time, I still wouldn't say that's where you were strongest because you pretty much did perfect in all 3 rounds. So who do you train with out there to get Canine Falco where he is now?
You know, I'm going to give a lot of the credit to his bloodline. We've used his bloodline before. You know, his uncle Earl, worked for us. He had a littermate Molly that worked for us. His uncle Ed works for the county. So you
guys have the whole lineage in Fargo.
Yeah. So he was brought up out of Winnipeg Police Service Program. So it's just an awesome bloodline. And I got some great trainers back here, teammates that we train with, you know, every month. And you know, it's like anything. You know, you get what you put into it, right? So
for sure.
Yeah, if you put a lot of training and effort into it, you're going to reap the benefits of it.
And, one of the other things I was looking, you know, obviously you had a lot of competitors. Some of the competitors were younger than you yourself, and all the dogs, I believe, that competing were younger than Falco. So it kind of shows that youth and all those things kind of isn't everything. So,
yeah, I appreciate you guys kind of cutting off at the end where I'm gasping for breath at the end of each.
That is a good point. For you personally, what round 1, round 2, or round 3 was the most challenging for you personally?
Gassing my breath the most was the first course. You know, after we got out of the splashdown, that took a little while to get my breath back. We were hauling.
Yeah, you guys were moving. So now we're gonna open it up and we're gonna take questions from you guys. If you have any questions for Officer Cochran, you have any questions for me about America's Top Dog, comment your questions below, and we'll spend the next 5 to 10 minutes taking questions from all of you. You can ask questions. You can pretty much ask questions about anything. So have at it, guys, and I will pick some random ones, and we will read them off and go from there. Let's see. Lori VSO, it looks like, says, does Falco ever calm down? Is that him? That's him calm down now, right?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, he doesn't act like he's almost 9 years old. And what's awesome about this breed is the drive and energy they have. But when you turn it and you focus it into a task or a job for them, yeah, he's completely focused. He's settled down. You know, he wasn't like this while we're waiting to start, you know, each portion of the contest. You could see he was laying there and he was just ready to go. So that's when he settles down.
Yep. So you guys are seeing the calm down Falco now. Melissa 010382 asked, do you get to keep Falco when he retires?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you don't spend this much time with someone and develop the bond that you have and not keep them. So we get the option of buying them at the end for, you know, $1. So we'll scrape some money up and I'll keep them for sure.
That's awesome. Ruben, who's our decoy for America's Top Dog for all episodes, he says, thank you for the support, Nick, and he wanted to let you know that it was an honor taking a bite from Canine Falco.
Yeah, he did a great job catching them.
And that's one of the things, too, to go back to that really fast, is a lot of people don't realize how important, I know the handlers definitely realize this, how important it is in a competition on national TV to have a good decoy, that when Ruben hears you give that verbal out, for him to not make any prey movements, for him to not let the dog, for him to completely freeze, try to stay stationary. That way it takes away the fun, takes away a lot of the prey drive from the dog, and gives you, the handler, the best opportunity possible to recall your dog. And a bad decoy who lets that move too much or gives a little bit too much movement, that alone can be the difference between, you know, first and second place. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, the decoy is key in so many things.
So that was awesome to see. Let me read another one. Busy 4444. Oddly enough, it's 4 4s. I see what you're doing. It's creative. I get it. Does Falco live with you? Do you have kids? And is he good with kids?
Yeah, so Falco, he comes home with me every day. He's part of the family. I got a boy and girl at home, and he interacts just fine with them.
Awesome. So John K9 _ LLC, AKA Maker's Owner, says, Officer Cochran, how does it feel knowing you knocked me out of the competition?
Honestly, I felt bad. You know, like I said before, I had you pegged to take this whole thing, so I actually felt kind of bad.
And again, give John a follow. Great trainer. Maker's an amazing dog, as you guys saw. It just was Canine Falco and Officer Cochran's night. Let's see what else we got on here. Canine _ Obi _ another person I highly recommend following. Amazing person, amazing dog, amazing handler. Asks me, are the canines allowed to wear e-collars on the contest or verbal commands only? Kind of a mix of both. So the dogs can, in fact, wear e-collars, but you cannot utilize the e-collar. So they can kind of have the collar-wise to know that it's there, but the remote or the e-collar itself cannot be utilized at any point during the competition. Much like the prong collar, that can be on, but it cannot be utilized. I don't remember, did Canine Falco have his e-collar on?
No, he didn't have it on.
Nope. Is he e-collar trained, I assume?
He is e-collar trained.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Well, that's a good talking point. What was your decision to not go in naked versus going with the e-collar?
I don't know, just to add a little bit more to it, I guess. He's trained on it from when he was a pup. So, I mean, honestly, we rarely even use it.
Awesome. Yeah, generally that's kind of how it should be.
Right.
So, yeah, that's amazing to hear. Let's see. Canine Roney, who is a competitor on a future episode of America's Top Dog, said, I do not have any questions, but I want to say it was amazing to meet you both and get to work with you guys. Nice work killing it, Team Falco.
Yeah, everyone was awesome. For sure.
Thank you very much. It was amazing to meet you, and I can't wait to watch Roney's performance. Maybe it was horrible. Maybe it was great. Find out on America's Top Dog. Let's see. Busy444 asked, is Falco a Belgian Malinois?
He is a full-bred Belgian Malinois.
SPDK9 says, yes, a good decoy is nice to have. Lee Terry 7722 says, did you say that Falco was trained in Manitoba?
We did some training up in Winnipeg. That's where he was bred out of, the Winnipeg Police Service. He spent time training up there, but most of his training was through Tactical K9 out of Can-Am Tactical K9 out of the cities by Minneapolis.
Nice. Andrea Kovic says, no questions. I am just amazed Falco is 9 years old. Beautiful, energetic dog. John Canine Makers Owner says, I love you guys, and I'm glad it's you and Falco there.
Thanks, John. That means a lot.
SPD Canines, another competitor in an upcoming episode, Canine Simon and his owner, Officer Mike Garber, says, Falco's boneyard was amazing. Canine Jester asked, for different scent dogs, is the same hide spot used or was it different? Letters A, I'm trying to read it, it's kind of hard. Letter A is used for the narcotics and for Maker's peanut oil hide. Correct, we did use the same hide locations despite all dogs not using the same scent. Smith Tool Canine says, Nick, if you had a dog, what kind of dog would you take? I do have a dog, and I have a Belgian Malinois, as much of a shock as that is to everyone, I'm sure, who's kind of like Falco. He's a senior dog who's actually older than Falco, and he's 11 now. So, Kim Hatfield says, will a Shepherd be competing on a future show? Yes, I believe episode 2, which is this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, we have a German Shepherd that is competing. And you'll see plenty of German Shepherds competing on America's Top Dog. Trust me on that. Canine Obi-Wan says, Nick, Team Shepherd or Team Malinois? Well, if you just heard what I said, I know you asked that question before, but I think I already answered that. Although I love Shepherds, and I love Dutch Shepherds. Full Automatic, another, give him a follow, competitor on a future episode of America's Top Dog, which is Otto. He has a pit bull that's competing on America's Top Dog. And he says, great to meet both of you guys, and congrats on your epic run, Officer Cochran.
Thank you.
Team Canine Hunter says, great job on the boneyard. All-American Canine, who's a great friend of mine, an amazing trainer, Bob Salamini, says, Malinois make great pets. True or false?
False.
I would also say false.
Yeah, they're work dogs through and through.
Yeah. How did Falco handle the plane ride of flying out? Sorry, guys, I think we got cut off. What I've learned is what happens is Instagram cuts you off at the 1 hour mark. So last time I thought we lost a connection, but what I just realized is it cuts you off at the 1 hour mark. Back in and we will finish these questions up. There you are. I was just telling them what I've learned in these lives is Instagram limits your live to 1 hour at a time, so it cuts you off right at the 1 hour mark.
Gotcha.
And now we are back. Oh, so how did he handle flying out?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that was probably the second most stressful thing out of everything. Was flying with what they fly-drive Malinois. We actually gave him some sedatives from the vet to kind of help keep him calm and relaxed, and he actually did very well.
Oh, that's awesome. So it all worked out. He got some sedatives. Officer Cochran had a rum and coke. They were both calm and relaxed on the flight. It all worked out. What time does Canine Falco go to bed? Kennel Van Mayhem, a.k.a. one of my good friend of mine, Sam Edmonds, and an amazing trainer, says he's making me tired.
Yeah, he goes to bed when I go to bed, so we're on day shift right now,
So soon. We'll take just a couple more questions. Does anyone else have anything for myself or Officer Cochran? And don't forget to tune in this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode 2 of America's Top Dog. We have some amazing competitors. We have a Shepherd. We have some Malinois. We have a Doberman. The world famous Canine Duke is appearing. We have Stan and Rocco. So it's going to be an amazing show that you guys are going to love. WYZ, I'll just butcher it. I'll ask the question. Is it possible that Falco has a more acute sense of smell than the other dogs because he's zeroed in so much quicker than the other dogs? I'll let you answer this, and then I'll give my input.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to. No, I don't think that's the case. You know, like with the first room, I mean, he just happened to go left towards, he could have easily gone counterclockwise, you know. So I don't think he has a better sense than any of the other dogs. It's just you know, we were fortunate enough, he kind of went the right path. So.
Yep, I completely agree. You know, Malinois a Malinois, especially high drive, all of that. It's just like anything. To me, it goes back to training, repetition, handling, all of those things. It was one of those things, you know, where they say every dog has its day. It's kind of how it is with our competition. Is Canine Falco, Officer Cochran, got right on the same page from the beginning, and you know, it's kind of a mix. So everyone gives credit to the dog, of course, and rightfully so. They should get a lot of the credit, but a lot goes into the handling as well. Are you over detailing your dog? Are you rushing your dog through the rooms? Or are you like Officer Cochran, where you just walk in, act like, you know, you're back on the block with your buddies, not a care in the world, just send him in and let him do what he does. So to me, it's not, no doubt Falco is a great dog, great genetics and all those, but I wouldn't say he has a better nose. I just think it's all those things I mentioned. So let's see. Yes, Dog Squad U says, wait a minute, so your mouse sleeps? Good question. Let's see. Canine Roney, future competitor, says, Nick, Officer Cochran, who are your picks this week? Unfortunately, I have to turn this solely to Officer Cochran because I was there as the host of every episode. So I know exactly who wins, who loses, how they lost. I know everything about everyone. Again, I'm kind of like the guy on you. I'm stalking everyone. So unfortunately, I cannot give you my picks because I know who wins next week. However, Officer Cochran, you've probably seen my breakdown of next week. Who do you got and why?
You know, I think I'm going to see a silent voting member on this one.
So what Officer Cochran's doing is he's playing the political game. That's what that's called. And I respect that. Roberta7930 says, I got Duke, which is our Doberman, which is owned and handled by Sergeant Ed Soares, who give them a follow if you don't follow Canine Duke on Instagram. Great fun page. Two more. HJ Sachs says, Fargo PD is so proud of the Wonder Mutt. Oh, and Officer Cochran.
Someone asked about the log squad, right?
I'll take a couple more. Adam Con 531 says, advice, please, if you can, what age you can start a puppy on training instantly? You know, different people have different definitions of training. But for me, when you have that brand new puppy, focus on what I consider the most important things: confidence building, socialization, getting them used to noises, textures, surfaces, objects, elevation, people, getting them used to different environmentals. And the dogs that you see perform extremely well on America's Top Dog, they're not always, and not that they aren't, but they're not because they're super obedient dogs and military police precision, focused heels. They're generally the super stable, confident, social. They're not worried about the lights. They're not worried about the cameras. They're not worried about the 100 people behind them screaming and cheering. It's the stable, confident dogs, and those are all things. They're used to textures, rope bridge. So to me, start them the day you get them on things like that. And then, of course, you know, the bonding and the teamwork and some clicker training, and take it from there. Any input or?
No, you hit it right on the head right there.
All right, there we go. John Canine, Maker's owner, said Canine Falco had a great handler, unlike some dogs. No, John, you did amazing. Kennel Van Mayhem, again, another great trainer, should give him a follow. Sam Edmonds, he did a documentary called Canine Guardians a while back. Check it out on YouTube if you haven't seen it. He said, I think Falco just had great training and clarity in his training, which is the real key. And I think he showcased that perfectly. Lee Terry, does Falco sleep with you? I will assume no, but tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no.
He does not. Love My Malinois says, looking forward to watching episode 2 with you, Nick, on Wednesdays in Alpharetta. That's a good point. For those that missed it, this Wednesday I'm going to be in Alpharetta, Georgia. Myself and Sergeant Mark Tappan and Canine Mattis are doing a host party. You can learn more. You can see where it is, what time, all of that. In my profile, you'll see the picture with all the information. But I'm coming down to Alpharetta to do a watch party of episode 2, so you guys can come, hang out with me, hang out with Sergeant Tappan, Canine Mattis, have fun. Canines of Valor ask, did it take long for Falco to adjust to the noise, the lights, the cameraman, the crowd, all the things going on at America's Top Dog?
Yeah, I'd say yes. I mean, because he didn't really give him much attention to begin with. So, yeah, he was very stable. Oh,
so he did not care about it. Okay, sweet. And again, that goes back to raising that stable, confident dog that, you know, because that's something that a lot of you guys, when you watch America's Top Dog on TV, as Officer Cochran can vouch, that you really don't get is there's production everywhere. Literally hundreds of people running around. Cameramen, cameras in the dogs' faces, cameras in the officers' faces, lights going off, 100 people screaming in the background, trucks moving, ATVs driving up and down set. It's chaos going on around the course itself. We'll take 2 more. Nell G says, I love watching Maker and Falco and their handlers. And Nick, it's always great seeing you. Thank you very much. We all appreciate that. Grayson Trustlow says, Nick, if you can divulge, what's the most unexpected breed that will compete on the show? In my opinion, if you guys have seen any of our commercials of America's Top Dog, any of the trailers, you'll see Amanda Cauldron out of Patriot Canine and her 32-pound Shorty Bull. That's the little dog that you see, you know, struggling to get over the walls, and it's a really, I think, 14 inches tall or something. So that's definitely the most unorthodox dog, I would say, to compete on America's Top Dogs. Let's see. Devotion to Dog says, great job on the show, great team. We'll take 1 or 2 more, then we'll let you and Falco get to bed. MVKS_1 says, what would you say Falco's greatest strength is? You can only pick one.
I'm going to give it to his tracking.
Tracking is actually better than his detection. You're saying his tracking is better than his detection.
Yeah, that would be really low.
Man, seeing his detection, if his tracking is even better, I need to fly out to Fargo just to see that for myself.
You're welcome anytime. Maybe in the summer, though.
I may take you up on that. Canine Obi-Wan says, how many people are in the audience? I think technically 50 are in our audience that you see in the background. But then again, that's not counting the hundreds of A&E, production, cameraman, lighting, sound, all the stuff going on around them. Let's see. I'll take two more. Pat Picker says, where did the nickname Wonder Mutt come from? I know you said that earlier, but they may have missed it. Go ahead.
Yep, a good friend of mine that helped raise, or did raise him until I picked him up, named him Wonder Mutt.
There you go. Adam Kahn says, my dog is 14 weeks old. How is the best way for me to train him to not be friendly with people? And they're too friendly with people. That's a really big misconception. You know, a lot of the police dogs on America's Top Dog are super friendly with people.
Right.
Super social dogs. I played with a lot of them. You know, obviously always ask. And, you know, like Mark Tappan and Canine Mattis. And, you know, that's a big misconception people have that kind of brings me to a good point, is they think that because they're biting guys and they're apprehending suspects, they're these savage man-eaters, when sometimes that is the case, but generally they're not. They're super stable, confident, social dogs that kids can play with. Like Mark Tappan has pictures of Canine Mattis dressed up in tutus at his daughter's birthday parties. And one of my good friends, you know, is one of the trainers at the SEAL teams. And the SEAL dogs are super social because they're working in a team environment. So if they were man-eaters, when they're on a helicopter in the back of a 7-ton or, you know, hunkered down in the back of a pickup truck, they would just be eating everyone. So they're the textbook kind of like on-off switch dogs. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, long gone are the days of you know, man-eaters. No one's going to want to work with you.
It's a liability.
Yeah, it's a liability, right? No, it's a game to the dogs, right? It's hide and seek. It's capitalizing on the prey drive. So yeah, you don't have to have a dog that wants to destroy everything. I wouldn't want a dog that destroys everything. You know,
exactly. Yeah, and another, you know, good example is if you, I talked earlier about my friend Dustin Wynn, who popped in here and said, you know, great show and everything. Give him a follow if you haven't. But he's one of the lead trainers of a special forces unit, and you'll see him post pictures all the times of their dogs with kids, and, you know, and they're super social, stable, confident dogs. So you don't need that dog that hates everyone for it to be a legit dog. And actually, I would argue that generally, if you do have that, you probably would never do well on America's Top Dog. So we will let you guys wrap it up. One person asked, and this, as everyone can imagine, this is probably the most asked question I've ever gotten in my life, is I've received so many direct messages from people saying, Nick, I love the show. How can I compete? How can I be a competitor on America's Top Dog? That's my number one question. How can I be on the next episode? The short answer is you can't be. So a lot of people don't realize we filmed. How long ago did you film episode 1?
I think it was late July of last year. I think.
Yep. So we filmed, myself, Kurt, all of the team, we filmed all of America's Top Dog, every episode, like 6 months ago. So it's just now premiering. So we're done. I'm not hosting live like you guys see. We finished all of that in July, and it's just now making its way to airways. So you can't kind of compete or anything because the show's done. However, the best way to compete is to tune into America's Top Dog. Tell your friends, share it on social media, tell your friends, tell your family. And what's that happens is it increases the ratings, it increases the viewership, and then guess what? They have to give us a season 2 of America's Top Dog, which now opens it up for everyone to fill out applications, to come to casting calls, and have the chance to compete. So really the only way to compete on America's Top Dog is to watch it and talk about it and share it. So that way they have to give us a second season. So hopefully that helps. So Officer Cochran, we are going to let you go. And we thank you for your time. Again, can't stress it enough. Amazing dog, amazing handling, amazing teamwork, pretty much in every way measurable. And we greatly appreciate it. And we hope, maybe in episode 7, episode 8 of America's Top Dog, when you have another dog, we'll bring you back and compete again.
No, we had a great time. Thanks for having us. And everyone's so awesome. So great opportunity. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Have a good night.
Good night.